topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
New Jersey, welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for those of you who have written me and begged me to put an estate planning show on, I do read your emails. We finally have an opening in New Jersey, and we found one of the top law firms when it comes to estate planning. So for those of you who are watching right now on TikTok, if you have a question, maybe about a will or maybe trust or probate, it is so important. What we're trying to do with this show, don't try to do this yourself. Get a good attorney. We have one of the best attorney, Kimberly Patton of the Patton Law Firm. This is her first show. We're so excited because we can deliver a topic that you have been begging for. Hey, good afternoon, Attorney Kimberly.
Good afternoon, Steve. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, you don't have any idea. I have had so many people ask us about estate planning. And, you know, our demographics, our number one show in New Jersey is Medicare. So I can't believe we've never had an estate planning show, but we didn't have an opening. But first of all, since we have all these new people watching and listening, tell people about your firm.
My firm is a full-service firm. We help families take care of themselves with proper estate planning. We have an estate administration department, a real estate department, a small business department. So basically, we can handle everything that our clients need. You don't have to go hopping from different firms to different attorneys. We are a one-stop shop.
Well, I'm going to date myself, Kimberly, a little bit. I have been doing this for 17 years. When I first started doing this, it was whoever had the biggest yellow page ad. And that kind of it went by the wayside. And then it was who had the nicest website. Well, that's all gone now. Now it's whoever has the best really podcast. And since we're on 70 platforms, I bet you we have the best. But today, I want to take the show to introduce people because, you know, Kimberly, when you hear the word estate planning, the first thing you think of is estate. Oh, I have to be a multimillionaire. And that just isn't true.
Not true at all. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You want to have good estate planning documents. Estate planning documents include a will to say what happens if I die. How do I protect my family? A financial power of attorney. How do I protect myself in case something happens and my family so they don't have to go out and get a guardianship? A medical power of attorney. Again, my family doesn't have to go out and get a guardianship, and there doesn't have to be any infighting. I have already decided who will be in all of those positions. Living will is the last basic document everybody should have. So if you are different stages of your life, turn 18, you absolutely need a power of attorney, financial matters, and medical matters. As you mature, as you have people depending on you, you add documents, the will, the living will, maybe life insurance to help protect your family.
Well, we just got our first question from TikTok already. I am one of the people who've been writing you to add an estate planning show. I am so glad you're doing this. Please ask your expert, at what age should a person look at putting a will together?
Really, it depends when you have some assets that you care about. So 18, you definitely want to have the powers of attorney, medical and financial. You start getting some assets that you need to, if you have for example, you have a baby, you definitely want a will because you want to name a guardian, God forbid anything happens to you and the other parent, and you want to be able to create a trust for that child so that the assets are protected. You want to name a guardian who is going to take care of the children, the trustee who is going to take care of their money, and it could be the same person. In my family, it was always my husband first, then my sister, then my sister-in-law on all of these different documents. So it can be the same person. Sometimes people name different people. But as soon as you have somebody depending on you, I think then we want to have a will. If you don't have somebody depending on you, but you care who gets your assets when you die, another great reason to have a will.
So the next question, I'm trying to get these questions, since it's the first show, I have so many questions to ask you.
I've got lots of answers.
I know you do. So I want to get as many as the people who are writing their questions in right now. One is, how do you keep from hurting people's feelings when you select a power of attorney?
This is a great question because, and it's very, very important to remember, you cannot worry about other people's feelings because this is too important a decision. I have seen people, parents in particular, they don't want to name their one child over another child, so they name two children. And now we get a stalemate. All of a sudden there's a stalemate because the two children are fighting over something that happened 30 years ago. Mommy always took your side, and now they are going to assert themselves. And now we're stuck. And who is the pawn here? Mommy. So you really want to choose a person that you think is going to do what you would do in that circumstance. And that is the power of attorney's responsibility, is to step into the person's shoes and say, what would they want? But if your children can't decide, if you don't want to pick one child over the other, pick a niece or a nephew, or they have professional people who will serve in this capacity. You wind up paying them, but if they're doing a job and they're saving your family all that turmoil, it is well worth it.
Oh, here's another great question, Kimberly. Thank you for bringing this type expert on. I want to know, I heard is it called elder law? Is elder law the same as estate planning?
It is a pocket of estate planning. So estate planning is a big umbrella that has all these basic documents that we've already discussed: the will, the powers of attorney, the living will. Now, when you start talking about elder law, you start talking about how am I going to pay if I have long-term care needs. So that might be that you're planning on paying all of your own money and pay it down and then ultimately go on Medicaid. It might be that you will take some long-term care insurance, which is a really wonderful tool and everybody should look into it. It might be that you start and you create an irrevocable trust. And I did this when my husband was sick. We weren't sure if we were going to lose our house to all these medical bills. So we moved our house into an irrevocable trust. Our children are the co-trustees. So as much as I said, don't name your kids if they don't get along, my children get along very well. And I'm sure that there will be no fighting over this. So what you do for the elder law, you are planning on what happens if I need long-term care. Medicaid, which is
expensive.
Very expensive. Right about now here in Bergen County, it's easily somewhere between $13,000 and $20,000 every single month. So you want to make sure you protect yourself. And my goal with this irrevocable trust is not to get the kids an inheritance. It's to make sure mom and dad are properly protected. So, and that's what it's all about. And that's why you really want to be careful about your trustee, that they know what it's for. And they know that they're going to be able to deal with taking care of the parents. You don't want to name somebody that will spend your money flippantly. And I shouldn't say your money because it's no longer your money. That's something you really have to understand. You move that into an irrevocable trust, it's not your money anymore. Now it's your trustee deciding how to use it for your family. And you want to make sure that they're not going to invest it in Bitcoin and then lose it all. And I have no idea about Bitcoin because that's not my expertise. I should have an expert. You have another expert for that one so we can all watch and learn about Bitcoin. But you want to make sure that you name somebody if you're doing that. So that's elder law. Now, I have been doing elder law for 40 years. The
Wow.
issue is it wasn't called elder law initially. It was just called estate planning, and then it got a name. And now the name is, and that's really to make sure. So one of the other great things we have here in New Jersey, we have fireman's home. So if anybody has served as a firefighter, and there are certain restrictions on this, you have to serve, I think, for 7 years. But then if you need long-term care, you can move to the fireman's home out in Boonton, and it is incredibly affordable. So it's something that is available to firefighters. So if ever all the firefighters, please remember, and I mean, thank God for them, because I would never be able to run into a burning building to save somebody else. The other thing we have are veterans benefits. So, and I'm in Bergen County. There's the Veterans Home here in Paramus. Wonderful home. It's not as pretty as some of the private places, but you're also not paying that $20,000. So you want to make sure that, but you're getting great care. So you want to know if you have veterans, if you have a veteran in your family, you might be entitled to veterans benefits, even if you weren't the veteran. So spouses, widows, widowers, disabled children are entitled to benefits under the veterans, the VA.
You know, I wanted to ask you about someone who passes away without a will. And I think of Prince. With all of his money and all of his managers, he passed away without a will.
We have a Supreme Court justice who passed away without a will. And of course, I don't want to say his name, but it's like, he's an attorney. He's a justice of the Supreme Court. And
Wow.
he died without a will. So here's what happens if you don't have a will. Now the statutes decide who gets your money and when. So, and maybe it'll be exactly what you would put into your will, but not always. So if you have an old-fashioned marriage that with the children from the same marriage, the spouse gets everything. Now that might be exactly what you would want. If you have a second marriage and you have children from a first marriage or first relationship, now your spouse has to share the inheritance with those children. Now it may not be what you want. There is a difference, you know, when with a will or an intestacy, die without a will, it only covers probate assets. So those are bank accounts that are in your name alone without a direct beneficiary. But if you have a joint account with your spouse, the spouse is going to get that no matter what the will says, no matter what the intestacy says. The bigger problem for me with intestacy is sometimes this means your children, your minor children, under 18 are inheriting. And now all of a sudden, either you have to set up a trust that the court is going to oversee, or you're going to deposit that money into the court. And when the child turns 18, they're getting all of that money. My children were not ready to handle any amount of money when they were 18. And I don't think many children really are.
I understand.
So that's a big problem. That's where a will is so much better, because you can say, okay, this will go to my children, but it'll be in a trust. My sister will be there watching over them and making sure the money is protected and they're not squandering it and they're not getting taken advantage of by people. That's not really available under the intestacy. And then they turn 18 under intestacy and they get all that money. You can say in your will, I don't want my children to get all of this money until they're 25 or 30. And maybe, and a lot of us attorneys, we attorneys will say, okay, at 25, they get half, at 30, they get the other half. Or I even like to have a lifetime trust. Now I'm protecting my children from themselves until they're about 30. And then I'm protecting my children from outsiders. Anybody that wants to sue my son, they can't get the money that I have in that trust that I created in my will. So it's a very important thing to think about. Make sure you have a will, make sure you have all the other documents. And then we layer on as things happen. And that's where the elder planning comes in. Do we need a trust or not?
We just got another question. Oh, this is a good question. This is from our TikTok audience. They want to know, can you give second opinions if I already have an estate planning?
I can look at your documents. What I like to do is get you to fill out some fact finder for me. Let me see the documents. Let me see if they are covering what you want. And I might make some additional recommendations. But I would certainly do that.
Here's another one. I live 6 months out of the year in New Jersey and 6 months out of the year in Florida. Should I have an estate planning attorney in New Jersey or Florida?
It depends. Do you own properties in both states, real estate properties in both states? And where do you call home? So it's
Okay. New Jersey is home,
okay.
and my second home is in Florida.
Okay. So Florida is a very hard probate state. So we always recommend that you have a revocable trust, at least in Florida. What that does is it avoids probate. Now, probate just means that you're taking the original will to the surrogate court. Where do you call home? That's your domicile. In this case, it's New Jersey. You bring the original will, the original death certificate, information about the family, and a check. And in about 3 weeks, the executor will be qualified as the executor. In Florida, it can take much longer. And that's why my clients that have this situation where they have houses in different states, we always recommend at least a revocable trust. That it means you still own the house. It's still yours. You still keep your bank accounts under your social security number. And it doesn't give you any protection. It just avoids probate. New Jersey, probate is great. Florida, it takes more time. New York, it takes a lot of time. California takes a lot of time. So any of my clients that have vacation homes there, we always recommend they have a revocable trust.
So I got to bring this up, probate.
Yep.
It can get really expensive, Kimberly. What do you do with your clients to keep probate from going sky high?
Well, the actual probate is exactly what I said. Just going to the court, getting the will processed, and having the executor qualified as the executor. So you get a piece of paper that's called the letters testamentary. It proves that you're the executor. In New Jersey, that process is very straightforward. So the fees should not be so high. And our courts are great. Our surrogate courts are fabulous. We call them courts, but they look more like administration buildings. So it's not scary. It's very emotional. It truly is very emotional when you're doing this. So that part of it is going to be pretty manageable legal fees, unless somebody is contesting the will. Somebody doesn't like what's in the will. They thought they should be the executor. They thought, a brother unduly influenced mother to change her will last minute, and mom gave in to him. So that's not allowed. Now you're going into litigation and you're contesting the will. That's where the big money comes in. So it's much better to make sure you're protected. What we do when we have clients, when we're preparing the will, is when they're changing something like that, we take pains to make sure we go through the whole process. I have my witnesses. Sometimes we take videos of them. Oftentimes we create affidavits right then to say, she was here, she was competent. We spoke to her for about, an hour, however long it was. She was always consistent. Now, if there's undue influence, it's hard for me to prove or disprove, but that's where it comes in. You get people who come back and say, she promised me that she was going to leave me half of her mom. Mom promised me she was going to leave me half of the house, and she didn't, or she was going to leave me the whole house. And that's a different kind of claim. Again, that's where it gets very, very expensive. If mom has not kept her records very carefully, and kids are trying to search for assets and documents, and mom took the original document home and now we can't find it. Well, there's a presumption in our law that if mom had the original document and we can't find it, mom tore it up. And that's why we offer all of our clients we will hold the original documents. We will give you certified true copies so that we always know where they are. We don't do that at any additional cost. That's what I feel is our responsibility, to protect the wills and to avoid having the families fighting over different elements of it.
Marvin in New Jersey, he said, I have been one of those procrastinators. I know I need to get my planning done. What do you do with hospitals? Say, for example, the hospital that I usually go to, how do you alert them on what they should do if I'm unconscious?
Well, we also give people a wallet card to say their estate planning documents are here at the patent law firm. Hopefully, when we give you the certified true copies, we've got our name all over it so that if your family knows about it, you should always make sure a family member or a friend, somebody close that can get into your home, knows where this, and I always put it in a blue pocket folder, and you can put that on top of your refrigerator, right by your night table, and just tell somebody, hey, if anything happens to me, go to that blue folder. It has all the information. Call Kimberly. She's got all the originals, and the family members, whoever is named as the agent under the power of attorney, the living will, who is the executor, they would be able to call me up and get the documents. But you do have to tell your family. You don't necessarily have to tell your family what's inside your documents. Just where are they? And this is why we offer to hold on to originals, because oftentimes people put them in their safe deposit box at the bank, and nobody can get into that safe deposit box without a court order. So that's why we say, let's just keep it. And that's a little bit of an overstatement, but you can imagine how difficult it is for somebody to get into your safe deposit box if they're not already on the safe deposit box.
Kimberly, you've got so much information that, like, questions that people wouldn't even think about. I'm thinking about the people who've tried to do it themselves. There is so much that people don't know or understand. And by having a law firm like the patent law firm, they're going to be, when they walk out of your office, they are going to be completely covered. And it's got to be a big, I guess, like a ton of bricks off their back.
I think it is. And I have had clients that tell me exactly that. And they didn't know to ask the questions. So we always say it out loud. So even people who will tell me, I already know about that, I say, okay, but please let me just say it out loud.
I tell you, I think estate planning is so important. I mean, I've got probably 20 more questions. We've got questions coming in but most of them are thanking us for the show like this. Let's tell people how they can reach your office.
You can call my office at any time, 201-291-1603. The patent law firm. So I don't know how many people remember General Patton anymore, but it's patent, but with only one T. You look me up. You've got my website. You can call. You can email. We're here to help everybody.
Folks, I'm going to say this. I'm not trying to sound morbid. We just never know what tomorrow brings.
That's
and true. For those of you who do, like the gentleman just said about procrastinating, it is so important. Call the office. Call Kimberly's office. Kimberly's going to be back again with us next month. I've got so many more questions. Kimberly, you did wonderful.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to look forward to next month, answer any more questions. And just so that people know, we will go out to people's homes and hospital rooms, rehab centers. We want to make sure everybody is protected.
Well, we're blessed to have you, Kimberly. And, we want to thank Sarah also. We can't leave her out.
Oh, Sarah did a great job.
Thank you. We'll see you next month, and we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.